Hijazi is here, and I understand that your nickname is a hacker tracker, and the latest thing that you have tracked, Kareem, is really kind of scary. I mean, I guess it's cool if you're in the tech world, but for those of us who are kind of watching as an observer, to find out that the Harvard University's website on Tuesday, just a couple days ago, was replaced. The homepage was replaced. It's America's oldest university. Its homepage replaced with an image of Syria's president. And I understand there was a daunting message. Tell us about it.
So, interestingly enough, this whole hacktivism and sort of cyber militia is starting to get very trendy, as I think we're all seeing in the last, really the course of this year. And now, unfortunately, the latest victim is Harvard University, where I guess another group is trying to make a statement and get a lot of attention. And, taking down America's oldest university's website was probably the most prolific thing they could think of to sort of take down and get a lot of attention for it. And they have, enough so far, at least.
Yeah, and so this there's a picture of Syria's president, Bashar al-Assad, together with a message accusing the United States of supporting the uprising against his regime and threatening retaliation by something I hadn't heard of. Syria's 23 million mobile bomb. I guess they mean 23 million people who are willing to blow us up.
Well, yeah, it's possibly that, or, I guess that's up for interpretation. I suppose I saw it as, well, if everyone is theoretically available, in Syria, if Syria was theoretically all technically savvy, that's a fairly sizable group of people that could all cyber attack at once.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Potentially do it. I hope it's more that way than the other way.
Yeah, I read that. I thought it was very, very daunting.
It is.
You used a couple of words, cyber militia and hacktivism. You make it sound like there's a group of people out there who think that this is cool.
There unfortunately is a group of people out there who think it's cool, along with people who think it's really effective.
Fun?
Some are using it for real political change. I think that with the Middle East specifically, you find a lot of people using it as their only means to get attention, connect outside to the outside world. We saw this with Egypt, we saw it with Libya, we're seeing that in Syria, where a lot of the communication has when this happens. It's the first protocol when something like an uprising occurs. And some of these guys immediately go onto their Twitter accounts, go onto their Facebook accounts, and then the ones that are a little more savvy go out there and actually impact, another country's infrastructure to get attention. It's getting to be ubiquitous out there. And it's getting scarier. Yeah.
Kareem is the CEO of Unveilance, and so you're working to find this out. This is a classic example of rogue hackers, you say, that operate with state support. Which presents a diplomacy problem for us, because how are we really going to stop this if, say, that the country of Syria is behind this?
Well, it's interesting. It's hard to really gauge how much is a state-sponsored effort versus what's really just a group of people that are intent on doing their own sort of, their own activism, if you will, or activism. We've seen it a couple of times with other countries where there is truly state-sponsored support, like in the Chinese groups. There are a lot of those that are very, very backed by government initiatives to sort of go and solicit corporate intelligence. At that point, it's actually espionage. A lot of that is supported. Now, with this, it's a hard one to gauge. I remember reading a couple articles that did state that the group that is sort of taking responsibility here was tied to a computer society that I suppose Assad was part of at one point. So there's a lot of that correlation, but it's still really hard to say. There's too many groups out there that claim they're part of something, and when the internet, unfortunately, it lends a certain level of anonymity, which is a difficult thing to sort of figure out. That's really hard to figure out. Yeah.
And you say that there appears to be a link between the hacker group Syrian Electronic Army and the current government regime in Syria. Again, it's hard to know exactly how tight that connection is, but the fact that it exists at all presents quite a difficulty for us. We can't even get good information out of Syria because the journalists are so threatened there. So it's almost impossible to know how tightly linked these guys are to the state of Syria.
Exactly.
Any last thoughts on maybe what's next in terms of targets?
That's a good question. There's so many targets, unfortunately. When it comes to cyber, everything is sort of a soft target. It's hard to anticipate what's coming down the pipe. We as Americans we've done a really great job trying to guard our critical infrastructure, our physical infrastructure. But when it comes to cyber, this year was a really ugly year for us to figure out just how soft of a target that is. My concern is more on the sort of militarized side of the equation, where some of the denial of service attacks will start up again. Defacing is one thing. It's never pleasant. You know, I feel bad for Harvard for having their site defaced, but that, thankfully, is it's a non-invasive attack. You know, it's easily remedied, but things that are much more impacting are the ones that I'm a little more concerned about. You know, attacking a national grid again or something of that nature, which can be very scary. And that seems to be where more of the state-sponsored effort is starting to focus on, which is taking down certain critical assets here in the U.S. And that's what I think I'd be a little more worried about than sort of the website of the university.
Yeah, excellent point. All right, Kareem Hijazi, CEO of Unveilance this morning. They call him a hacker tracker, talking with us about the latest defaming of Harvard University's homepage. I have real quickly. Did they take this down already? This picture of the Syrian president?
Oh yeah, they cleaned it up pretty quickly. They took it down. The site was down for a few minutes while they cleaned up the page, but they put it back up. It should be normal.
Yeah, you know, it just presents all sorts of problems too, because the university doesn't want to be seen as endorsing this kind of behavior. So if it takes them too long to take it down, sometimes that can be sticky too. All right, Kareem Hijazi, thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate it.